Hello. So I'm double checking something because I mentioned in a previous video that I may not have posted. I don't think I posted it, but my truck is having some issues, and it's a little bit suspicious because I made a video with the truck and sent it to someone in Japan, and now it's having issues. It always feels like some sort of like fighting, like someone's always just trying to take away from me what I love, and as soon as I have something and I prove that it's cool, it always feels like someone's trying to take it away from me. So I have to double check this bullshit. So what's happening right now is that the power steering is leaking, and it's leaking onto the coolant pipes, and then the coolant pipes are becoming distended, and at some point there was also a coolant leak. What size was that? 916. I might need metric. I can't remember if this is metric or not. But then basically, long story short, is this shit leaks onto the alternator, is my theory, because we just had to have the alternator replaced. I'm not at the point yet where I can do the bigger jobs by myself at home. So, but I'm pretty knowledgeable about this stuff already, and it just takes a little bit more practice and a little more knowledge to get to it. But my concern is that leak caused corrosion in the coils of the alternator, and that's why it had to be replaced. And it was just suspicious that it happened after I made the video and sent it to Takashi-san of Lock-On. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to remove this piece so that I can get better access to the power steering. And I'm just going to make sure, all I'm going to do right now is make sure that the hose right there, this one, is pushed in all the way and clamped properly, because we keep sending it to the shop, and while they do make improvements, I guess, I'm not confident that the problem's resolved, and that I don't want to accidentally have them stuck in this cycle where it's something like that, because they have a ton of projects. I'm not coming down on them. I'm not accusing them of causing this on purpose. I'm actually just trying to help. And I just don't want them to have done the coolant and then and they even cleaned off the power steering block a little bit, but I don't want to have them resolve an issue and then have another issue happen because of that first issue, have resolved the second issue, and then have the first issue continue and actually potentially in a more severe manner, and then potentially cause the second issue again. And then it's just a cycle of keep continuing to take this shit back into the shop for something that could be resolved just by properly tightening the hoses. And I'm trying to prevent that from happening so that they don't have to do more work than is necessary, and we don't have to pay more money than is necessary. So it's a mutually beneficial arrangement. And I really wanted to just be able to do this stuff by myself at home, which is why I'm going to school for it. Because my one personal vehicle isn't going to take enough business away from these shops in order for them to have any reason to beef with me. This is my personal vehicle from my grandfather. Bless his soul. So, and it's registered to my father. And it's not like they don't take in for other stuff. I'm just trying to resolve this one particular problem. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to loosen this, and this is stuff I have practice with, but as you can see, wait, can you see it? Let me see the screen. Yeah, it's leaking from here to here. And then if you also see, it's all gummy and distended, whereas over here it's hard and well, I'll just use this as an example. This part is not distended, as they say. The integrity of the hose is not compromised. But once you get down, it's even compromised on this one. I don't know how much you can see. Let me see if I can shine the light. And these are new hoses. They've already been replaced within the past year. So they shouldn't be like that already. They might even burst at some point if they get too distended. So right there, that distortion shouldn't exist. It's a result of some sort of substance compromising the integrity of the substance, of the material, I mean. And then this one is very clear that it's getting dripped on, and it's even more distended, and it's squishy. And it shouldn't be squishy like that. It should be hard like that. A little bit squishy is fine. But as you can see, this leak is directly over the alternator, which is right down there. This thing, this shiny silver thing, let me see if I can touch it, with the belt attached to it, this thing. Yeah, it's really hard to see in there with the camera, but anyway, so it clearly could potentially, especially from this location, could be leaking onto, yeah, and even from here, it could be leaking onto the alternator, and there's coils in there with a magnet, and that's how it generates electricity. And if those coils become corroded, it stops generating electricity, which seems to be what happened. And I am especially concerned because I started trying to bring this to the shop owner's attention, and his first response was no, which is just a knee-jerk response that shop owners have, like, oh no, it couldn't be our fault because we worked on this already, so it has to be, you know, something else. But as soon as I explained the corrosion thing, he stopped doing that. I don't know if he actually knows that or if he's just the guy who runs the desk, but that's how that works. So here I go. I'm gonna get a screwdriver. The point is that if I don't know how this stuff goes, I can't tell what's going on, and I can't tell if someone's fucking with me or not. I still can't tell if they're fucking with me or not, but at least I know what the problem might be. And I just don't like having this. Yeah, see how that rotates like that? That's not necessarily supposed to happen. Release it a little more. And also the location where the clamp is placed is really important also. Now, it doesn't seem to be going much farther in, and I don't know if when it was fresh if it would have gone farther in or not. And also, I don't know if this clamp is, this is why I want to do this stuff myself, so I don't have to wonder. It might be a seal. There might be a seal-ish, like there might be a gasket in here. And see, if I had full ownership of this car or vehicle, and I didn't have to fear for my life because people were going to be mad at me for not taking this into the shop and letting them work on it for money, which is another reason I'm doing the education, then I would just take this unit off, I would disassemble it, and I would look for any signs of damage. But unfortunately, I'm in a state of having to fear for my life because I don't necessarily trust that people are going to respect me or help me, and that I'm worried that they're just interested in money. And in fact, I'm worried that not only are they interested in money, they're also interested in causing my vehicle to fail so that they can claim dominance and potentially even attack and kill me because of a vulnerability. So let me just double check to make sure that thing's tightened, so that if it was already leaking, so if it leaks at the same rate, it's no harm, no foul. And remember, I'm not accusing anyone of anything. I'm just explaining why I'm concerned about stuff. All right, you can push it, yeah, all the way in. And the other issue is, like, stuff like this, I feel like we haven't even, the automotive people in this area haven't even gone to the track with me or anything. So it's like proper pecking order hasn't even been established. So it's basically all just based off of what people say and money. And once again, I'm not accusing anyone of anything, but I have concerns. So anyway, it doesn't seem like it was terribly far out of where it was supposed to be. And since it was already leaking, if it continues to leak, it's not really, and I'm not driving it right now. I'm going to take a different vehicle, and I still want them to help me. So once again, I'm not accusing them of causing this problem. I just think it's something that needs to be addressed. That's all it is. All right, I'm going to put, let me turn it on first and double check. Where's my key? And I don't think it's going to leak while it's stationary necessarily. And it may be worth getting some, hold on. It may be worth getting some aftermarket parts as well and not just sticking to OEM, because I think maybe the pressure rating may have changed over time. So here we go. I'm just gonna double check it real quick. It's got pressure. Now I'm gonna turn the wheels a little bit. And see if anything happens. I mean, it's working and it's not making any weird noises. If there was a more severe problem, it would be making a weird noise when I did that. And also, if it was empty, it would be if the power steering fluid was low or empty, which would have happened as a more severe leak, which was happening earlier, it would also make a weird noise. There's fresh fluid out. Ouch. There is fresh fluid, and that may be a result of me pressurizing the system by turning the wheel. It also may be as a result of me having loosened it and then tightened it again. So what I would have to do to properly diagnose that is to clean the entire area while it's already hooked up the way it is. What is this? Oh, it's from my bearings. I would have to clean that area while it's already hooked up the way it is, and then repeat the process of turning the wheel. I can try a little bit. I'm not going to go too deep into it, but I will get a little bit into it. And it's always better to reduce the number of moving parts in a vehicle when sticking your hands into that area. So I don't know how clean we're gonna be able to get this right now, but once again, this is just me double checking their work at this point and trying to make sure that I understand what's going on. And then we're probably gonna, if it keeps doing it, we're probably gonna let them deal with it again, because I'm not in a place yet where I want to delve that deeply into the realms of liability and legality and stuff. And also, it's always good to have a community that you can rely on. Even if I start doing this stuff at home, I want to be able to cross-reference and check my work with people around me in the industry. All right, I'm just trying to get all of the fresh, brand new oil off of there so that I can tell. All right, let me see. Yeah, see, nothing came out that time. There's no new oil. So if I turn it on and I turn the wheel again, I'll be able to tell if it's leaking. Where did I put the... I already... Back pocket? Yep, there we go. And first I'll double check it without turning the wheel to see how severe the leak is, if at all. So basically no leak right there. And now there's no fresh oil, there's no fresh fluid rather I'll just say it like that. There's no fresh power steering fluid coming from that location, which is where I think it's coming from. By the way, there's a new whine with my vehicle where it goes, that whine underneath, I think that's the new alternator. No leaks. No leaks really to speak of at this point. I'm just gonna wipe down the hose a little bit, turn the vehicle off, wipe down the hose underneath a little bit to prevent further corruption of the coolant hose. And the reality is we'll probably have to replace those coolant hoses again. Maybe I'll get those cool blue ones next time. I've seen those on some of the aftermarket vehicles. And we just need to make sure that all these locations where there could be leaks are shored up so that it doesn't leak onto my hoses and cause distension and bulbousness and compromise the integrity of the material, and that so that it doesn't continue to lead to further leaking, which will compromise the alternator, which will then stop my battery from being charged, which will stop my ignition from causing a spark and igniting the fuel, which will cause loss of power. In fact, hold on, I see a lot of oil or a lot of fluid right there. It looks like I still have a pretty severe coolant leak right here. Let me double check the coolant. And when I say severe, okay, yeah, it's not severe enough where it's like draining my coolant level, but it's still pretty glistening. And that, once again, I don't know how much you can see with the camera. I'll see if I can touch it. It's right there. And that's what I'm talking about. And when all that gets on the alternator, it causes corrosion in the coils, and then it stops charging my battery, which then in return stops this from firing, which means my engine dies. Not dies as in gets harmed, but necessarily, but like more so it just stops functioning until we replace the battery and then once again replace the alternator. And you see how this cycle could cause quite a bit of money to be spent on something that could just be resolved by actually properly fixing these issues. And I'm not accusing them of doing something wrong, the people at the shop. I'm just trying to problem solve because I love this vehicle. And we don't have a lot of money. I can't just keep doing this over and over again. We don't have a lot of, I personally have no money. And my parents have worked very hard to provide a good situation for me, but unfortunately we've accrued a lot of costs over my lifetime, mostly medical and educational and legal. And so I'd like to start figuring out how to resolve this stuff, because that coolant, oh man, I can't tell you this, it's flared. The coolant hose is flared outwards in here. Like I can stick my finger very easily in between the coolant hose and the pipe and the metal part of the coolant pump. And that's because the material has been compromised and it is squishy, more squishy than it should be, so it flares out right there. And then once again, there's a ton of residue on here, and that's a result of the coolant leaking, and probably the rest of that, the black stuff is probably just dirt from the road, is my guess. And it creates gunk. But like I said, If that gunk accumulates in the alternator, it stops working, and then my car stops running, or my truck stops running. So these are things I would like to do myself, especially because they have so many other projects. They can't really put all of the time and effort that's really required. It's called TLC. And maybe they can apply it TLC. Maybe they just didn't realize they needed to. But this sort of project starts requiring TLC because it's an older vehicle, and it starts having this personality to it that needs attention paid to it. So I appreciate the work they've done. And like I said, we may send it back to them again. Especially because flushing coolant at home without like all of the stuff that makes it easier it's not impossible. It's just easier in a shop, and then they can do it. So we'll see where this goes. I need to put the cold ram intake again. But anyway, I showed that I didn't compromise the integrity of their work. I just double checked it to make sure that it wasn't going to fail. And I'm also not going to drive it today to my color code, because I don't want something weird to go wrong before we resolve this. So I'll just take the family Mazda CX-5. But like I said, it's suspicious to me that this started happening after I sent the video to Takashi-san, and I'm not blaming him. I'm just saying I think people get jealous sometimes. And maybe it's not actually people getting jealous. Maybe it's just the universe getting jealous. That's also a possibility. You see, I'm thinking outside of the box, and I've learned not to make assumptions about people or accuse people of anything. That might just be how the world has been for so long, where you do something cool, you alert people of it, and then something goes wrong. And I don't think that's a good pattern. I think we need to work on that collectively together, because I think what should happen is that you do something cool, you send it to someone, and then things go better as a result of that. I think that's how that's supposed to work. That's how it does work. Not just how it's supposed to work, it's how it does work. Because when stuff like this happens, things stop working. So, just my comments. If you're a Shinto believer, you understand what I'm saying. Or if you don't understand what I'm saying, maybe it's something to meditate on. And before I end, I'll just show you this model of the AE86 that I made at home again, just for fun. I thought maybe I could even make an RC car out of it, but then I got swatted. So I had to put a pause on all of this sort of project. This was even broken after they swatted me. And yeah, I know it's hot glue, but it's holding everywhere else. I think someone stepped on it or something. I think one of the SWAT team members stomped it. But fortunately, I'm gonna try to learn how to weld. So, yep. Happy trails.